Hello, I'm Megan McNerney.
And I'm Marshall Roberts. On this edition of Temple Updates, Kristen Gallagher has reactions on the recent presidential election.
And an ethnic dance tour, Mystic India, came to Temple University's Performing Arts Center. The show featured Indian dance, costume, and music.
Also, Johnny Mailer will be at the sports desk, and Nomi Leisure will be along later with the Weekend Weather Watch. Hello and welcome to this edition of Temple Update.
We begin with the full details of the 2012 presidential election. Barack Obama was officially re-elected for office Tuesday night. Obama reined in 50% of the popular vote, while opposing candidate Mitt Romney received 48%. Obama also won the electoral vote, gaining 303 votes, while Romney received 206. Romney did not prepare a concession speech prior to the ending result, but spoke before the president accepted his re-election.
And so Ann and I join with you to earnestly pray for him and for this great nation.
I have listened to you. I have learned from you. And you've made me a better president. And with your stories and your struggles, I return to the White House more determined and more inspired than ever.
Philadelphia was buzzing with excitement during election night. Kristen Gallagher is here with us to talk about some of Temple's reactions from the Tuesday night outcome.
Kristen, I know that before the election, there were signs everywhere. People came to campus really trying to get out the vote. So how does Temple feel prior to Election Day?
Yes, it was a really big deal on campus. Thanks, ladies. This year's election was, of course, big on the national level, but it also had a large impact with people on campus. I had the chance to speak with Temple's political leaders who played a major role in the university's involvement in the election. President Obama took to the stage to make his acceptance speech Tuesday night. According to a Temple political science professor, this election was historic.
Obama is only the second Democrat in history to win 2 presidential elections with more than 50% of the vote.
To no surprise, leaders of the Temple Democrats and Temple Republicans had different reactions to the results of the election.
Last night was amazing. Going into the close of the polls, we were really nervous, but we were really confident. And then as the results started coming in, it was just great. Win after win after win.
Well, for the Temple College Republicans, it was a disappointing result. But the American people spoke, and President Obama was reelected.
Even after President Obama obtained the 270 electoral votes to win, Governor Romney waited over an hour for the results in Ohio before he conceded the race.
I think they really thought they were going to win the election. And when Ohio was called, when the reported numbers were so close, it's understandable that they held back.
Despite differing political views, both Republicans and Democrats on campus expressed optimism for the future of our country.
I think we're really going to see a lot done this term, and I hope both sides are able to really work together and accomplish a lot for our country.
The things that the president is going to be able to do now that he's been reelected it's going to make sure that we can stay in school, we can afford school. The issues that are important to us are going to be advanced.
And even when talking to people around campus, it was really interesting to hear perspectives from all political parties.
Yeah, Temple really was big in this election. It was nice to see everybody go out and vote.
Yes, thank you so much, Kristen. Temple University Television presented a live special election night newscast on Tuesday. Coverage ranged from the watch party at Temple University's main campus to the Democratic and Republican election parties in surrounding counties. Mayor Michael Nutter spoke with Update's Isabel Garcia about her aspirations for the next 4 years.
My biggest hope is that the president, who I know wants to work with Democrats and Republicans, the House and the Senate, they'll all come together and say, look, the country still needs us in the federal level to do our job. We need to work with cities and mayors and governors to get things done. And that they will really come together and focus on the future, not on the politics, but on people. That's my hope.
Mayor Nutter also informed the media that he will finish his term as mayor and remain in Philadelphia.
And now we're going to throw it over to the newsroom where Simone Cucurullo is standing by.
Simone has a breakdown of the election numbers. Simone?
Thanks, Megan and Marshall. It was a close race Tuesday night, but it all came down to a few key states that would secure re-election for President Obama. First, let's take a look at Ohio, which was a primary swing state this year as usual. It was projected late Tuesday evening that Obama would take Ohio despite the overwhelming majority of Republican counties. This is because of the heavy concentration of people in certain counties like Franklin County and Cuyahoga County, where big cities like Columbus and Cleveland are located. Since the populations are higher here, the Democrats were awarded more electoral credit toward this state. It was the same case in the highly contested Keystone State, as most counties ended up with more Republican votes. However, the weight of the more popular counties like Allegheny and Dauphin County resulted in a win for the Democrats. Philadelphia particularly was a sweep for Obama, as he took home 85% of the popular vote, leaving Romney with only 14%. And now let's take a look at Wisconsin. Unlike Pennsylvania and Ohio, you can see that this state was more split on their decision. The Democratic Party ended up taking this swing state, which may be surprising to some because it is home to Republican vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan. Barack Obama won 4 out of the 5 counties in Wisconsin's 1st congressional district, which Paul Ryan represents. Megan and Marshall, this was definitely a close race, but in the end, it was President Obama who took home the win. Back to you, Marshall.
Tyler School of Art's Temple Contemporary Gallery hosted an election night bash. The gallery featured a balloon drop, free food, and music DJ'd by Philadelphia's own King Britt. The gallery projected coverage of the election from both CNN and Fox News on the gallery walls. At 10 o'clock, 20,000 red, white, and blue balloons were dropped into the crowd below. For some students, this was the most exciting event.
I'm actually anticipating the balloon drop. I think I'm the most excited about the balloon drop.
The event was a success, and the balloon drop was a perfect way to end election night.
And now we're going to throw it over to Nathan. Nathan Schrader, he works with the Regional Politics and Institute for Public Affairs. You have a lot of experience in elections, so it's great to have you on here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So why is Pennsylvania such an important state?
Pennsylvania is a critical state in national elections and major statewide elections because it is prone to vote through different voting patterns. Say we elected in 2010 a Republican governor, Tom Corbett, Republican Senator Pat Toomey, but then in 2008 and 2012 we swung the other way and elected Barack Obama. And Pennsylvania, even though we've had a diminished number of electoral votes over the last several decades because of population decline, 20 electoral votes is still a significant number for any campaign that's putting together a path towards the magic number to get into the White House.
Mm-hmm. So what were some of the key issues on the ballot in PA this term?
Well, aside from the presidential race, we had a U.S. Senate race where we reelected Bob Casey, even though his Republican opponent spent $17 million of his own money to unseat him, and Casey still was able to win handily. But we also, and I think one of the most significant stories was Pennsylvania had a history-making moment Tuesday. Kathleen Kane was elected the Attorney General of Pennsylvania, and this is important for a couple of reasons. Pennsylvania has never elected a Democratic Attorney General. She's going to be the first in history. Pennsylvania's also never elected a woman Attorney General. She's going to be the first woman to ever hold the office. And as the Democrats continue to build a voter registration edge in Pennsylvania, they will continue to field candidates who are a lot like Kathleen Kane, sort of independent-minded, ran kind of her own race, and was able to appeal to a broad group of Democrats and independents to overcome the Republican edge that they've had in that type of election in previous years.
Great. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Nathan.
And not only have voters made their voices heard for the presidential election, but some other key issues on the ballot have won big this week. Through a majority vote, Maine, Washington, and Maryland voters agreed to have same-sex marriage legalized in their state. Voters in Minnesota disagreed with the constitutional amendment that would have defined marriage as between a man and a woman. Also, Washington and Colorado have legalized the use of marijuana, and Massachusetts has legalized the medical use of the drug. Marijuana is still illegal in the eyes of the federal government. Illinois, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania still have pending legislation.
This election year was very significant for women politicians. There are now 20 women that hold seats in the United States Senate. This is the highest number of women in the Senate in U.S. history. 5 of these women will begin their terms in 2013.
And there's still much more to come on Temple Update. Pearson and McGonigal Hall now has its own bar. We'll tell you all about the best beverages that are offered.
And Temple's male and female a cappella groups collaborated for an annual event. We'll show you what these folks are singing about.
And I'm Johnny Mailer here at the Sports Desk. Later in sports, I'll tell you how you can help the victims of Hurricane Sandy while attending a football game this weekend.
After a series of storms, it's finally feeling like fall and things are warming up for the weekend. I've got your 5-day forecast coming up.
Plus, a former reality TV star and Temple student finds himself in a real-world situation.
All of that and much more coming up next.